Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Abundology Podcast. Today, we are talking tarot with my favorite person to talk tarot with, my friend Ellen Brown. Now, Ellen is an intuitive coach and a tarot reader. She's my tarot reader. She's read for my wisdom circles before, and she came to spiritual summer school this year and was a hit. She read for everybody. She's also, for those people who know, she's a super Gemini and a human design reflector, which I think is the most rare, isn't it,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Ellen?
Yeah,
Well,
it is.
yeah. In addition to that, you also have a law degree, and tell us everything about you. Tell us how you got started in this and everything about you.
Oh, awesome. I grew up in the tiniest of tiny towns in the Ozarks and right smack the buckle on the Bible Belt. And my mom, her best friend, read playing cards. And I remember being at their house and Marion would pull out the cards and they would have fun in the kitchen. But like I was in middle school, so I wasn't included in that. And unfortunately, she passed away before I could really learn anything from her. But those memories just definitely stuck with me. And, in the 90s at a feminist bookstore, I bought like a feminist tarot deck and really kind of used that for a long, long time and more just played around with it and really, used it for journaling and things. And then kind of would play around reading cards, with friends and things. And um, it always just kind of stuck with me. And then I had a big family crisis. I had a huge family crisis, and that just forced me to level up in so many ways. So many ways. And it really reconnected me with my spirituality. And through that, our mutual friend and I did a lot of card readings, together, played with lots of different decks. And that's when I found my favorite deck that I'm going to be using in this. It's the Light Seers Tarot. And that's when I made the transition away from trying, a career in public policy that was kind of fueled by my law degree. And I have a change management certification. And so my coaching business is blending all of those things. It's blending the spirituality, it's blending some common sense. I'm the person who's going to ask the hard questions and tell you the thing you don't want to hear, but also with love and empathy and compassion and intuition and, using that practical, strategic, legal brain, and, all the whole time too. So it's all the things together. And so tarot has burbled up as the thing that's wanting attention right now. And my sister and I were playing around with, doing readings for each other and like sharing the readings we were doing for ourselves. And we started using the Marco Polo app to do that. And then I kind of started just surprising my friends with Marco Polo tarot readings. And
You
I think you were
surprised
one of
me.
those people.
Yeah, it was lovely to one day randomly get this message from you, and it was a reading. And I went back to that reading. What I love how you do it on Marco Polo is,
Mhm.
because it's recorded, you
Right.
can go back over and over and over again and really pick it apart, each particular,
Mhm.
piece. So I have looked at that reading. I can't even tell you how many times.
Oh, that's
Yeah, it
hilarious.
was so right on.
Yeah, and I hear that from so many people that they look at it over and over and over again, or they have their friends look at it, and it's the Marco Polo app for people who don't have it. It's video messages, and so you can just record a video message. So that means you can record your face, or you can record what's going on around you, and you can talk as long as you want, which is really nice because sometimes voicemails get cut off and things, and then you can go back and watch it over and over again. And so it's really fun. And then my friend who lives in another state, she and I were practicing tarot readings that way too. And it's really effective because then, there's something wonderful about doing a reading for somebody in person because you've got their energy and they can ask questions and things. But there's something also really nice about just being able to focus just on the reading and what's the energy of the cards and what's happening at that moment. And then it's a little cleaner in some ways. And then you can have the back and forth afterwards of, okay, this resonated and this didn't. And so many times people are like, oh my God, that phrase that you said is the tagline for my business. Or this card that has the three women in it reminded me of my daughters. And then when I looked at it again, there's one of them has a tattoo and it's the tattoo we all have. it's just like over and over and over again, there have been those like synchronistic things, like, or just, I did a reading for a friend for her birthday, and there was a card that had three crows on it. And she's like, I keep seeing these three crows at my family's farm, you know? And it's just like always, there's always all these synchronicities, which are just incredibly amazing and really um, reinforce to me that this is what, the direction that things need to go at this moment. And I'm excited to do this class because I think, there's a lot of classes out there that focus on what is the actual meaning of all of these different cards, and you have to memorize them. And it's very rooted in the Rider Waite deck, which is about 100 years old, and kind of, in my personal opinion, everybody is free to have their own opinion and what resonates with them. But in my personal opinion, it's very rooted into the energy of that time. And so it's kind of a little a little male, a little patriarchal, a little, you know, stiff and rigid. And I feel like we've evolved spiritually, societally since then. And right now, there are so many decks out there that are available to you. You can find one that resonates with you, but they still kind of retain some of those connections to that original deck. And so um, there's plenty of classes out there for people who want to know all those original meanings, and this is what it is, and this is what it isn't, and the upside down cards are negative and whatever. But for me, it's more about like, what's the energy in the card? What's coming up? What's happening? And the story the cards tell together. And I think that that's what makes my approach a little bit different, and what I want to share with other people.
Well, and I think that that stops that needing to know what is the 2 of
Right,
swords mean,
right.
has stopped so many people from using tarot cards or oracle cards
Hmm.
because, like, I don't who's gonna memorize however many that is, 52, I don't even know, is it that many?
I
Um,
think it's even more.
is
Yeah,
it
like,
more than that
yeah,
now? Yeah.
yeah.
Who's gonna memorize all those? And what I love about how you do it is you really read the energy and the pictures of the cards. And so
Hmm.
you mentioned your favorite deck, which happens to be
Hmm.
my favorite deck too. And I know
Yeah.
that I've told you before that I had some girlfriends over to my house and I had said to everybody, bring your decks, bring your favorite deck. So of
Hmm.
the 5 people that came, 4 of us, that Light Seers Tarot was our favorite deck. Do you have it close by?
I do.
'Cause
Do. This is what the box looks like. Oh, sorry.
yeah, you got it. Yep.
Yeah. And it's really lovely because, it does hearken to some of those original Rider Waite images, but they're just so much more multicultural for one. There's people of all different complexions, and it references all kinds of different traditions. And there's a lot of healthy masculinity in the deck and a lot of healthy femininity in the deck. And the images are just beautiful.
Yeah, they really are. And how you read them, which I'm excited that we're
Mhm.
gonna do the selection poll here in a minute.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's really reading the energy of the cards and the pictures and how this card blends into this card, and it's just magical, you
And
know?
this figure is looking at this figure, and this colored, where this is, it's on her shoulders, and now it's on the feet, and you know what I mean? It's really telling that story. And I've learned to start trusting, like, certain think phrases will pop into my head, or im- you know, ideas will pop in my head while I'm doing this. And I've just learned to trust and just say what it is. And just almost every time it's actually been something important to that person. So
Which
um
brings up a good point
mhm,
because really this is about getting in touch with your own intuition. It's
mhm,
not, and I, of course, see that in my business that people look outside themselves for the answers. What do the spirit guides say I should do? And,
right.
that's not it. The spirit
That's not
guides
where your
are
power is.
confirming what your intuition already knows. And I feel that way about tarot too.
100%. And I think, I've been guilty of this in my life when things are not going well and I don't feel like I have a lot of agency and power. It's easy to be like, just pull cards all the time and like, what am I supposed to do? What am I, what's going on? And really, that's not, and I don't feel like that's the purpose of this. It's more about, you know, what's resonating, what's not, what's telling me what I already know, what's reminding me of things that I've forgotten. And if you're putting the power on somebody else to tell you what's going on with you in your life or what you should be doing, or, you know, that's not very empowering. You know what I mean? It should be about empowerment and not about outsourcing your power to somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good way to put it, outsourcing your power. Yeah, and, of course, we all want somebody to tell us what to do, and it's gonna be
Oh
okay,
yeah.
and
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
we all would like that, but you're right, that's not very empowering. Mhm. Yeah. So we do have a class starting next week. I'm so
I
happy that
know.
you're joining me for this Tarot 101. A lot of people in Spiritual Summer School said, "Can she come back and teach the rest of us, like, how to do this?" So,
Yeah.
it is like tarot basics, the essentials.
And I'm kind of the phrase that popped in my head when we first started talking about this is like tarot for the tarot curious, because I have a friend who had all kinds of oracle decks because that was, the and we'll go into what's the difference between an oracle deck and a tarot deck, and what we'll start with just kind of getting familiar with the deck, like how are they structured, what are the different, I'll show you different decks, like the same card in different decks, and how they're different and how the energy can be different. And then we'll go into that, and then we'll start with building your own spiritual practice, building your own practice using tarot. And so there'll be some homework between times. I've been working on a workbook for everybody, and then at the end you'll have some tools for building your own practice, journaling about it, and maybe some different spreads that you can do in addition to just kind of a daily card pull.
Yeah. Well, I do a daily card pull every
Mm-hmm.
morning. And I love doing that because if I am not paying attention,
Mm-hmm.
my guides are trying to tell me something and I'm just
Yeah.
in, human land. They know
Mm-hmm.
every morning at breakfast time, I'm sitting down and I'm paying attention. So if there's something important to come through, that is the time I am available. So
Right. Well, I mean, and you've mentioned this before. I mean, you can't just call up your guides and ask for help when just randomly. It's like if you had a friend that was only calling you when you were in crisis, you would be just dreading those calls. You need to be in conversation, and that's part of that conversation.
Well, and I think 99.9% of the time it's encouraging. You're on the
Hmm.
right path. The things are going great. Today's a good
Right.
day. Those sort of things. Occasionally, there might be a like, hey, pay attention to this, message in
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Oh, they'll call you out for sure. They'll call you out if you're just on crazy town,
Yeah.
because there was, somebody in my past that I kept having dreams about. And I'm like, what is this? What is this? What is this? And so finally I just like did a spread. I'm like, okay, tell me, what's going on. And they basically told me just to stop.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
But this is not helpful for you at this moment. Just move on.
Just move on. Time to move on. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Well, the Tarot 101, which you
Mhm,
said tarot for the tarot curious,
mhm.
um, it's 3 classes. So it's 3 Wednesdays in a row. It's only
Mhm.
$50, which I think is
A
amazing for
bargain.
this, totally. And I will put a link to sign up in the show notes for that. But I
Mhm.
think, what we're really excited about today, well, I think it's on everybody's mind, not only
It's
in our country, but around the world, is the
Mhm.
upcoming election. So we
Yep,
thought it would be fun to do a spread about the upcoming election. Are you up for it?
I am. It's gonna be fun, and I think that, you know, this is not gonna be a who's winning spread. This is gonna be a what's the energy, what's the temperature, and where's your power in this situation spread.
I like it. I like it.
Okay,
Okay. Let's
awesome.
let's get to it.
Yeah. So I shuffled the deck and all of these cards popped out. And this was the first one that popped out. And this one is, sorry about my ring light. It's the 9 of swords, and you can see this woman who is sitting on the ground, and there's all of these crows up at the top that are it's like very chaotic, and then there's this one bird that's all white that almost it's translucent. It almost looks like a ghost. And there's this energy beam, and it's almost like she's just driving that away. It's almost like she's driving that away, but this person hasn't looked up to see that yet. And there's like this bed frame that you can just barely see that's kind of a ghost, ghostly form. And so I'm kind of seeing that as rest is coming. There's going to be a rest coming. The Ace of Swords, the aces are all very mental energy. You've got this spiral, it looks like a staircase almost, with this beam of light coming out. And there's like all of these like equations and scientific looking um, images around it. And there's this crow flying forward. And then we have the Lovers, which is very much a card about unity. It's about coming together. It's about, love is amazing. Love is the best thing out there, and it's what's bringing us together. And it's a very intense. It's a very intense card, and she's got this little tattoo on her shoulder that's a bow and arrow. And I always kind of think about that as a symbol for Sagittarius, because that's the symbol for that. And that Sagittarius season is coming up. We're in Scorpio season right now. Sagittarius is the next one. And so sometimes I look at these little symbols that you can see around as confirmation of timing sometimes. The next card here is this woman standing, the Nine of Wands. Wands are about actions. And look, we've got 2 nines right here. The Nine of Wands, she's standing by this fence, and she's looking ahead, and there's this light. She's carrying this light with her, and she can make a choice. She can either walk away from this situation and walk back, or she can step over this and move forward. It's kind of her choice. But when she pulls this out to move forward, this is going to collapse. So I have to kind of think about what is that telling us? And let me think on that for a minute. You'll see in this next image, it's the Page of Wands. So she's taken this and she's throwing it in the air. And you see all of this like really dynamic energy here. And it's gone from kind of dark to this light. And she's got this exuberance, her chest is open. I kind of feel like this is just like throwing her wish, throwing her intention, throwing her wish up into the world. And this image, the Eight of Swords, again, we have the mental energy. And she's looking in this mirror, and the mirror has all these crows in it, like from up here. It's almost like this image is in the mirror, and she's sitting and looking at it. And to me, that's mental projection. That's an image of mental projection, of being powerless, of being kind of like, either the crows are like unwinding that is one way you could look at it, or they're tying her up. But that's not actually her. She's free. She's sitting away from that. And so then we move to the Seven of Pentacles. And the pentacles are about resources that you can touch and hold. It's your resources of time, energy, money, and they've all been planted, and something's growing. Something's growing out of that. And like, not all of these have sprouted, but a lot of them have sprouted and woven together to make this little plant. And then you have the Hermit. It's almost like this spiral staircase that's come up here. And the Hermit is about getting still, getting kind of away from the chaos. She's like all the way up on this this mountain that looks like it almost overlooks an ocean. And the Hermit is about kind of removing yourself, getting still, getting clear. And it's that kind of pause place. And then we have the Six of Wands, and look at this victory. Look at this. It's this woman standing on a stage with her arms held high, with all of these people in the audience. And so I'm just kind of getting chills and emotional thinking about this. So I feel that regardless of how things happen, we're not as powerless as we think we are. We have a lot of unity. We have love that we can bring to the world, into this situation. We have energy and light that we can put into the situation and move us forward. There are things growing. Our power is in ourselves. And so I'm going to pull a couple of other cards. This is another amazing deck. It is called the Sovereign Oracle deck. And sometimes I use these to get more clarity. So I want a little more clarity on this Nine of Wands because I wasn't really quite sure what was going on with that one. And so the ones that came up were ritual, seek joy in repetition, explore the sacredness of the task at hand, be intentional with your time. And then listen, pause, let your emotions guide you. Ask your body for its perspective. Notice the messages appearing around you. I kind of feel like that belongs there. So I think that this is our mandate during this time. Listen to ourselves. Notice the messages that are appearing around you. Pause. Seek joy in the repetition and explore the sacredness of the task we have at hand, and be intentional with our time. I think it's easy with all the chaos to think that that's to get caught up in the chaos and to get distracted and overwhelmed by the chaos and have despair about it. But really, we have agency away from that. It's the word that's coming in, it's a projection of the mind. We have power, we have intention, and we can use that to be successful regardless of what's going on.
That's so good. And as I'm looking at those top 3 cards, the 9 of
Mhm.
swords, the ace of swords, and the lovers, I love
Yeah.
that the white bird is like chasing off the crows.
Yes.
But what really stood out for me when you were talking about this is all of the mathematical symbols and stuff with the Ace of Swords, which would get me thinking immediately about like lawsuits and those kinds of things coming up. But then
Mhm.
by Sagittarius season, when we get to the lovers,
Yeah.
that okay, that's about the time where things get wrapped up and we have a winner and things are good to go.
Mhm. Well, and this can also be like focus, mental focus, and that
Mm,
spiral into your mind, and using your mind instead of projection of all of this chaos, using your mind for focus to move things forward, to focus on your agency and moving things forward where you can, and maybe in the collective there's just going to be just this focused time, but then there's going to be resolution. And
yeah.
so do you feel like that there's another card we need to pull? I kind of feel like we do.
You're the expert, so pull another card.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to do, where did that deck go? Oh, this is called the Energy Spirit Oracle. And in the class, we'll go over the difference between an oracle and a tarot deck, and how you might use them differently. I like to use the oracles as clarifiers or confirmation, or sometimes it kind of pulls the whole thing together. Like there's so many times where I'm like, there's one more card, and then it either like really confirms something that was kind of, like, I don't know, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, and it really confirms it, or it just pulls it all together in a way that with a button that, you know, is just makes it just really compelling and interesting. So let's see. And so it's connections. It's a 29, partnership, contract, commitment. And you've got one hand with this crystal in it and another reaching for it with all this energy. It's a 29, which makes it an 11, which is really nice. and connections. It's our connections and our relationships that are really important at this time.
That's a
So
perfect card. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I do too.
And it
There's
really harkens to this lovers card.
It does. It really does. And I'll have to say, I do love that bottom card is the six wands, with that victory and
I know with
standing
the
in the light
victory.
and,
Yes, and just all, the spotlights are on her. There's the flaming wand. Oh, you've got she's holding this wand here and it's got a little light on it. She's throwing it up in the air and here it's planted in the ground on fire with the victory wreath on it.
all right.
Boom.
That's cool.
I love it.
I love it too. That's so good, Ellen. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. I hope that this brings comfort to some people or galvanizes you into realizing you actually have power in this situation. Please vote if you haven't already. And I think that I feel like the time of chaos is coming to an end, personally.
Well, especially with that white bird chasing off all those
I
blackbirds.
know. It's so literal, it's incredible how the cards, if you were any other time and place, that card would not mean this. But in this situation, with this question, with this time, it's very clear. You've got the white bird chasing off the crows of chaos.
Yeah. So good. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. I'm so excited to meet people at the class, and it'll be available for download, right? So if you can't actually make the Wednesday times, you can sign up and watch it on your own.
Yes, everything is recorded. So if you can't make those times, you can certainly get the recordings. But I know you're not making predictions, but holy shit,
But that feels like a prediction, doesn't it?
totally feels like a prediction. Yes.
And when I feel energetically into this election, I don't feel the same energy I did in the last two. The wand, she's holding it, she's throwing it, it's staked in the ground.
No, you can't make this stuff up. You just can't make this stuff up. So, and like you were saying, the class will be available if you want to purchase it and then just watch the videos if you can't make it at night.
Mhm.
And then I will put a link to sign up in the show notes to the class. I'll also put a link to your website.
Oh, please
Because you
do.
have generously offered the listeners 20% off your tarot products
Mhm.
using the code Abundology. I love that.
In all caps.
All caps. Okay. And then I also will put a link to your Amazon site where people can buy the decks
Yeah.
because really that Light Seers deck, it's an amazing deck. And I love the other two that you used today too.
Yeah. The Sovereign Oracle is not available on Amazon, but I think you can get it on Etsy. If you're in Portland, I have some that I can sell you. And Amazon has weird rules about how you can do things if you're not like a massive influencer. You can't put pictures of the products or whatever. So the link is to the page on my website that has the links, that has the names of the decks. And so
Got it.
it's not me being dumb, it's Amazon being dumb. So,
Thank you so much, Ellen. It's always a pleasure to talk. I love doing tarot with you. It's just so
oh yeah.
insightful.
Oh,
So,
oh, and also I'm on Instagram at Kaleidoscope Reflecting.
yep.
So that's so you can find me there and for when I post.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for
Thank
listening,
you.
and we will talk to you again next time.
Thank you, Renee. It's a pleasure.